I don't want a 6-month-old baby, my baby, with somebody else. So if I have to take money out of places where I don't need to or shouldn't to right now in my day and age, I think it's personally worth it to keep my wife home and my baby home together. Money's money. It's meant to be spent. You can make it more. And who knows by next year? Maybe we're fucking making a lot of money with the cigars. Maybe the cigars are taking off.
When you're going to daycare and some kid's dressing up as a cat says, I identify as a cat, so I got to put a litter box in the fucking daycare because...
Don't even do that. Don't even go there.
They think you're so like misogynistic when you say things like that. Like, oh, I'll make the bread, you raise the child. The mother raising the child. You cannot replicate that in daycare.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Burn Down Podcast. If you're listening to this for the first time, it must be a Friday, hopefully on your way to work or on your way home from work or during your cigar time. I'm Eric, a.k.a. Brother Cigar. My co-host,
I'm Justin.
Across the way is Justin, the Dapper Cigar, and this is my radio voice.
You're listening to
Channel BDP.
You listen to F101.9.
This is DJ Z-Dick.
We have the subtle sounds of the piano coming in.
With a little ASMR as I light my cigar.
If you're new here, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so that we get notified. So you get notified. If you're listening, whatever platform you're on, please give us the highest ratings and share it and like it. It really does help the algorithm. It does help us get this show out and get new listeners and build the community, build the Burn Down community. And check out the website, okay? It's burndownpodcast.com. Become a member, $5 a month, all right? We're kind of leveling off on the men. We're going a little bit down. We're going the wrong direction, okay?
Excuse me?
We got to go in the right direction. But burndownpodcast.com, become a member, $5 a month. You get access to exclusive discounts, okay, to our cigars, the Blueprint and the Diligent. And you get access to discounts on our merch, okay? We got t-shirts. He's wearing one of the t-shirts. We got sweatshirts. We got hats. We got a whole bunch of stuff. And the accessories. You get access to discounts on all those. Plus, you get entered into monthly giveaways. We give away all that stuff, okay?
Let's talk about today's episode.
So
my thoughts about today's episode, right? As you know, I have a baby. 3-month-old daughter. You got a kid on the way. We just had a beautiful baptism. My daughter just got blessed.
God bless.
Thank you. She's welcomed into the house of God. She's washed of all her sins. So, my wife...
she didn't really have any to begin with. I mean, she's the purest
Well, they
form.
say in the church they're born
when you get
with,
baptized, you're cleansed.
Yeah, but you're born with the sin, and then when you get baptized, you get cleansed of the sin, which I really didn't know until I was actually having a baptism. But we are here, and... my wife has been home with the baby for the last few months. She's taken off the next year. So, obviously, as most people, I think, in our age have to decide now between, do I go back to work as the woman and go and put him in daycare, or do I stay home? And there's a lot of factors. One being the main factor, obviously, that you want at least a family member or yourself, mom or dad, to watch a child, not somebody else. But also, if you don't have the luxury, the cost of someone else watching you, right? So,
the question being, main question being, should you go back to work and pay for daycare, or should you have a parent, in this case, the wife, the mother, stay at home,
the birth giver,
and watch the baby while dad goes to work?
Because, leading up to having a baby and then having a baby, it's like, you look at the cost of daycare. And at one point it was like, if we're putting, first of all, we didn't want to put a brand new baby in daycare. I just imagine, the bowl of mush that you have as a baby, you're letting someone else, take care of that. One, that's a scary thought. Two, obviously not everyone has the luxury of staying home, and some people have to do that. But it's a scary thought. It's a scary thought of someone else, especially you don't even know, handling your bowl of mush.
Baby. That's kind of, because think about it. So, how long, right? Like I look at it like this. I don't want, if you have the luxury if you can afford to keep one or both parents home, right? And people are going to say, how do you keep both parents home? I work from home and my wife's not going to work when we have a kid. So both parents are going to be home.
Yeah.
That's how you do it, okay? If you have the luxury of keeping at least one parent home to watch the baby, I think that is the best, in my mind, is the right thing to do. I think that's the best option because this is your baby and you should be the one that is around the baby and helps the baby learn and teaches the baby. Like, it's your child. Why would you want to give that up to somebody else so that you guys can make a little extra money? Like, if you can afford...
Focus on, I mean, a lot of people, I mean, I shouldn't say a lot of people. There's like this trend where like girl boss, woman boss, you know, women now are choosing their career, nothing wrong with that, over having children or raising their children. Obviously, that's all personal choice, but some of these videos or some of these interviews that I see that people that decide to do that, you know, they chose their career, they had a kid, and they went right back to work, and they let a nanny or a daycare or someone else raise their kid, and they kind of say like, you know, I do regret not being in those early stages of my child's life, because when do you see your kid? And right in the morning when they wake up, and then when they go to bed or around dinner time and have a few hours.
Well, that's what I'm thinking of is. So I Googled, I went to ChatGPT and just Googled two different things, like the average cost of daycare, and then the average number of hours that a kid
that's why I
spend.
printed this out. So
yeah, I know. I wanted to quickly before I dive into this article, but if you have the luxury to do that, to keep one parent home, there's a lot of benefits, right? You get to raise the kid. You get to instill the values. And at these crucial moments, right, from the moment the kid is of age to go to daycare, right? Like when your daughter is, can't put your daughter in daycare right now.
3 months.
Okay, she's 3 months old.
Yeah.
So when you can put your kid in daycare, 2, 3, okay, something like when they can walk around and stuff like that, right? You can't put a infant in daycare. You can put a little toddler.
You can,
but
right?
like,
but is that really?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking of like,
right.
Okay, when are you actually going? Would you actually put a kid in daycare? Okay, and then versus going to school, right? Now, that's a whole nother section, right? If you're a homeschooler versus putting into public schools, but there's that little window, and that's a very crucial window, right? Kids really starting to like develop the vocabulary and really starting to kind of build a little personality, right? And
point right now that you're talking about, right? I just sent you a video. I just showed you a video of my 3-month-old daughter laughing. I wouldn't get videos like that if I had her in daycare. My wife's with her, and she's making her laugh, and I was like, I don't think there's any better sound. You would not get that if you had to put your child in daycare. You know what I mean? You missed that. My wife obviously gets to live it in person, but I also get to live it. I do have to work, but I get to see it through my phone, and then obviously I'm with her, but it's my wife that is with her that's enjoying those moments.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of benefits that I'm an advocate of stay-at-home parents.
Yeah.
Like, I'm an advocate of, and I've told my wife this, listen, if you don't want to work, well, you stay home, okay? And then if you do, like, occasionally, okay, I want to get out of the house, I want to go do a couple things, go do a couple. But, no, just we're raising this. We're not putting a kid in daycare, okay? I'll take care of it. I'll make the bread. You raise the child.
I think,
or I don't say only you raising the child, but like if you can stay at home,
there's got to be a constant.
It's
at least one constant.
But people always think like they think you're so like misogynistic when you say things like that. Like, oh, I'll make the bread, you raise the child. It's like, yeah, but you don't understand that it's not.
But that's been how it is for thousands of years.
But when people say, like, when I say that, people say, oh, what, you don't think that a woman can make the money? I said, no, that's what she's doing. My job's easy. I got the easy way out to go make the money. Are you kidding me?
I get to go out and do this and do that and go to work and change the pace.
But there's also we're a team, we're a unit, okay? And there's different roles that need to be played in order for the family unit to be strong, for the household to be strong, right? Mm-hmm. Like, one person makes the money, and you need money to survive, unless you're completely homesteading, but you need money to survive, okay? You need money to buy a house, okay? And you need money to pay for groceries, and you need money to do things, right?
Essentials. Clothes,
right?
Roof, food.
Okay? But that's only one aspect, right? Because the wife at home makes the house that you just bought makes the house a home. and keeps the house in order and raises the children, okay, and keeps everything in the house working while the man is outside the house bringing the stuff in. So both of these things are hand in hand. Mm-hmm. Now, without the money, you can't afford to buy the groceries. You can't afford to live. But without somebody keeping the house in check, the money doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have a family to come home to, and you don't have a nice house to come home to, you don't have a loving family, then it's not worth it. What the hell's the point of it?
It's true. Right?
That's why there's it's balance. It's balance. And everybody thinks, oh, what the fuck is that on top of your...
It's a cigar cap.
Oh.
It's perfect cap.
Everybody thinks, oh, you're going to send... No. There's a whole balance.
How I got to this
play your
point,
different roles.
I agree. And how I got to this conversation is because I'm like, I look at the cost of daycare, right? It's a lot of fucking money. It's a fucking racket, bro. So I'm like,
which one is this? Is the average? Oh, you just have a...
Well, no, this is like a local... This one right here, this graph, this is just like a local daycare that I found in my town, and they give you the prices. So, you know...
This is in your town?
Yeah.
Okay, because I pulled up the average for the United States. So this is your town.
Okay, what's the average?
So it says the average cost of daycare in the United States varies widely based on location, age of the child, type of care. Generally, costs range from $200 to $1,500 per month. Urban areas typically have higher rates, with infant care often costing more than care for older children.
Yeah.
For more specific, so $200 to $1,500. So is that $1,700 divided by 2 is $850
a month for daycare.
So if you take the median of that, or if you take the it's $850. So it's $850 a month. $200 a week.
Average.
Figure.
Average.
Now, this one says in 2023, this is an article that says the 3 underrated financial benefits of stay-at-home parenting. This is from the FDIC, oldnational.com. The average cost of a week of infant was $321 for a single child, says care.com. For toddler care, the average weekly cost is $293 for one and $556 for 2 child. So $300 a week is $1,200 a month. Yeah. This one is saying between $200 and $1,500 a month. So you're thinking about $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year for daycare. $1,000 a month.
Now we live in New York, relatively, and always a more expensive state for everything. Mm-hmm. So I was just looking up, like, what does daycare cost in my town? So this is a local daycare, right? So for...
No, we're not going to say the name. This is just...
No, there's no name on this anyway.
This is blank, 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 LLC.
Oh, yeah, you have it right there. Okay. So for a 5-day program, which is considered 7 a.m. to 5:30 for infants, which is below 2 years old. Which would be my range, right?
Which would be Ava.
Yeah, which would be Ava, correct. That is almost $2,000 a month. $1,940 a month.
That's crazy.
But you know what the other crazy part is? When you have days off, when you pay for the week, no matter what happens. If it's a snow day, there's no school, you're off from work, you pay
for the week.
You pay for the week, you pay for the month, no matter what. And it says it right here. Tuition remains the same regardless of holidays, snow days, sick days, and or vacation. So even if I put my child in daycare, right, and we go away to Florida for a week, I got to pay for my vacation and for the week that she's not there.
It's fucking crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
So wait, so it says is open 2 weeks with 2 weeks vacation to be determined each year.
That's for the owners. That's for the owners going on vacation.
Oh.
But look at the last bullet point on the
tuition remains the same regardless of holidays, snow days, sick days, and or vacation. Oh, so this is like you're enrolling them in school and you have to pay tuition.
Yeah.
Dude, fuck that.
Isn't that nuts? So
excuse my language. Fudge that. As you said before, the
rates go down a little bit more for a toddler, which is 2 years old. It goes down by $10 a week.
It doesn't matter, because it's all the same. But it's $485, $475, $450. It's between $450 and $500. So it's between $1,800 and $2,000 a month tuition for.
But look at the drastic difference. So if you do a 5-day program, right, that's $485. Say you put your kid in for 3 days, that's $300 for the week. So it's like,
and this is now, Casey, this is 7 a.m. to 5:30. Now, some parents cannot get to this. Like, if you work in the city,
yeah,
right, or if you work in Queens, let's say, okay, I'm out here in Long Island, you're up in Westchester. Let's say you work in the city, and you work from 9 to 5. So you drop your kid off at 7 a.m. so that you can get into the city by 8:30. Work at 9. Okay, now you work 9 to 5. You're not getting back to this daycare by 5:30. You might get to this daycare at 6:30, maybe.
Yeah.
So this is saying if you need to extend the day 5:30 to 6 p.m., it's another $10 a day. But you may not be able to get there by 6 p.m.
The daycare situation is a racket, bro.
I'm sorry. Looking at all this, stay at home. Like, what are you doing?
So that's my whole point. That is my
to have some random person raise your kid.
So say you make say you and your partner, right? Say you each make $100,000, a $200,000 household income. Now your partner is like, all right, well, should I go to work or should I stay home? So roughly, say you make $100,000 a year. Say after taxes, you get paid twice a month. You bring in what? $5,000 a month.
I mean, so if you figure $100,000, you'll probably take home 60 something.
Yeah.
So that's $5,000 a month,
right? So $5,000 a month. Okay. So now
that's your take home.
So now, so what is that? That's a relatively $10,000 income before your bills, before mortgages, insurance, cars, utilities.
You're making $10,000.
So say you make $10,000, and say your bills between both of you are what? $4,000.
Well, here in New York, so if you figure
more maybe.
I mean,
probably more. Say your mortgage is $3,000.
It's figured $5,000 when it's all said and done.
Half your income for the month is bills. So now you're left with $5,000
left with $5,000.
So now,
but now since she's working, you have to pay for this.
Yeah. So now,
right, because both of you guys are working, so somebody has to watch the kids. So now you have to pay $2,000.
50% to 70%. So now you're left with a household income of left over after all your bills is like 30%
of like $3,000.
Right. But now.
But that's also not including, like, there's a couple other things to include too, right? If you're staying at home, okay, that's one less car that you have to fuel up every week to get to and from work. I don't know how far away you work.
This is true. This is
okay, or your travel to and from work. Okay, so that's another thing. And then on top of that too is like, if you really want to get into the nitty and gritty, you can, if you have two cars and one person stay at home, the insurance on that car, you can drop the insurance way down, because what happens when you have your main car insurance, they ask you how much you're driving every year.
Yeah.
But if that one's parked in the car because she stays at home, you could drop your insurance down a little bit. You might save a couple bucks there. Yeah. But that's getting to the nitty gritty.
That's nitty gritty.
But I'm just saying, like,
everyone's case is a different situation, right? Obviously, everyone's financial case is different. Everything's different. But I just thought it's an interesting conversation, because I'm like, this is a lot of money for people. It's a lot of money for me still. So how can people afford that? You know.
So now, okay. So you have $3,000 left over. Let's say, so your bills are $5,000, right? So it's half of it, and then you have the daycare.
So I'd say it's two. So it's 7. Now it's 70%. But now the flip side of that. So now your wife stays home. Boom.
So now you only have $5,000 income,
and you still have $5,000 in bills.
So now you have no extra.
Now you have no extra. So but that's crazy to me, because $200,000 income is a fuck ton for basically every other state besides California and New York. Maybe New Jersey too. Would you agree?
$200,000.
If you and your partner are both making $100,000 a year, you're bringing in $200,000 a year.
If you're bringing in $200,000 a year, that is
more than the average.
I would say no matter where you are in the United States, that should be
more than enough.
That should be more than enough.
Right?
Okay. Now, granted, I don't know what, like, your $5,000 a month your bills could be. All right. Depends on what you got. If you're here in New York, the average rent, I don't know.
Well, you have to have at least, I would think, a 2-bedroom, right? Now you have a baby.
So let's
build a case. Let's build
a case study. Okay.
Yeah, let's do
what
a case.
Is the average rent in the U.S. for a 2-bedroom?
So I can tell you this, right?
Let's see. Average rent in the United States for a 2-bedroom home is approximately $1,500 to $2,000. Okay. So what is the average monthly bill breakdown for a family of 3 in the U.S.?
But my
average monthly bills. Here you go. Fucking love it. Love it. Right here. So it says, here's a rough breakdown of average monthly expenses for a family of 3 in the United States. Housing. So it's rent or mortgage, $1,500 to $2,500. So $2,000. Call it $2,000. You add this up on your calculator here. Oh, actually, it adds it up for me. Utilities. Electric, water, gas, internet. $200 to $400. Okay. So Groceries, $600 to $800.
Bro,
Dude.
that's a fuck ton of groceries for the month.
Dude, we have a family of 3 right here. It's me, my wife, and my sister. We spend $150 a week in groceries. And before this recent administration...
I'm surprised. I thought it would be more for you guys. I thought that would be more.
It's $150 a week. Now, before this administration had come in, and I don't want to go off on a complete... because we're talking about this daycare.
Yeah.
Before...
Yeah, what is it?
It was like $75.
So it was twice as much.
It's twice as much.
More, actually more.
It's twice as much, and that's $150. Like some days it's more, some it's less. Kind of depends on how much meat. Like if I have a sale on meat, I'm fucking stocking up on meat. Yeah. Okay, like I have that grass-fed, grass-finished ground beef that I get, and sometimes it goes on half off. I buy like 30 of them. Just fill up the shopping cart. Okay, because I know. But anyway, transportation. They got now. This is childcare schooling, so it's $800 to $1,200. They say. So let's remove that. Remove $1,000. Health insurance. This says entertainment and dining out. Okay. And miscellaneous, clothing, personal care. Overall, total monthly expenses can range from approximately $4,200 to $8,300 depending on lifestyle and location. So let's say $4,200 to $8,300 a month. A month. Now this is okay. Now what is the average income for average income for a married couple in the U.S.?
We really should be doing New York. We really should be doing it in New York.
So listen to this. It says the average income for a married couple in the United States is approximately $100,000 to $120,000 a year. So they're saying, this proves my point of how fucked up the economy is right now. Total monthly expenses average in the United States is between $4,200 and $8,300. So figure that's $6,000.
Yeah.
For a family of 3.
Okay. $6,000.
$6,000 a month, which means take home $72,000 a year. The average income for a married couple is $100 to $120, so $110. What's the take home on $110?
Do 60% of that, so
do
$70,000.
So you're like you're barely covering your bills.
$66,000, bro.
So you're barely covering your bills, and you're making $110,000 a year. And you're barely covering bills at $110.
Fucking nut, bro.
Barely covering.
I remember when it was like when you heard someone making $100,000. I'm not talking about years ago. I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. When you're like, you heard a friend like, "Yo, this job pays me $100,000." You're like, "Bro, are you a millionaire? How much money?"
Dude, it's like I'm just looking at this. I go,
$100,000. That was like almost like this. Like I feel like at least in New York is like kind of like you should be making $100,000 or else you'd be fucking.
Well, now in New York, if you have like a family of 3 and you want to survive, like just like to live comfortably. It's like, dude, you have to be making north of 150. You have to be making probably closer to 2, if not more, depending on however, like what you want a house, you want all these other things. But
bro, absolutely.
So let's take this. So we figured it's 5,000 was a good estimate. So $5,000. So now the question is, if you have one guy, okay. So now if you have one person, this is why we say if you have the luxury.
So my whole point of this conversation between me and what you're saying, all the statistics is, more people both parents have to work because the numbers aren't working out where you can live semi-comfortably with someone staying home.
However, the question is, what do you define as comfortable? Because some people, I don't want to say it.
So I said
a lot of people, I would argue, in this day and age, are living way above their means. Mm-hmm. And I think it stems back to Instagram. They see, oh, that guy's doing better. I gotta one up that guy. Or I see this person, my friend over here is taking vacation. I need to take it.
Me, semi comfortable is you have groceries every week, you have a roof over your head, you have health insurance, you have clothes, and you go out maybe once or twice a month. That's semi-comfortable to me.
Maybe go on a vacation every year.
Yeah, once a year, right? But that sounds about pretty semi.
Yeah, I would say you do all that, right? You go out once a month or twice a month, and I would say, once a year you do like a
weekend or a 4 or 5 day vacation,
like a weekend vacation, and then once a year you do a vacation, a week long.
Yeah.
So you have all those things. Once a year you do a long weekend. Once a year you do a full week. That I would say is You're having a comfortable life. You're not living. But some people, right? I got to drive the brand new freaking Mercedes. It's going to cost me $1,200 a month.
Yeah.
Right? And they'll say, well, and that's where you get into this conversation of, can you, right? If you have two parents working, can you live off of one? So it's like, no, I can't. But whoa, wait, why can't you? Well, I got my car payment. Okay, well, your car payment's $1,200. You don't need a Mercedes. You don't need a Mercedes.
You can buy a 2014 Honda Civic used with 50,000 miles on it and pay $300 a month.
And save $900. And that's the question. That's where it gets into this sticky situation where it's like some people say, no, I can't afford to live on one salary.
I feel like a lot of people are more like that. I feel like at least people our age. People our age
are getting the Mercedes?
They're like, well, I don't want to give up my lifestyle because I like what it is, as opposed to saying, well, and if someone looked at their finances and says, yo, you can do this, this, and this, and this, and save all this money and be able to stay home, but I don't want to. Okay, well, then you don't want to. And then
that's the thing. And then and you think about, okay, now we're all stemming back to the reason for, should you or shouldn't you do daycare? And obviously it's a personal decision. You have to look at your finances and look at your situation. And what's more important to you is living your lifestyle the way that you want. And let's just call it a lavish lifestyle because you don't want to give up some of these luxuries. Is that more important to you than the well-being of your child?
Yeah.
Right?
I'll
Do
give
you want
example.
to keep the Mercedes and keep this lavish lifestyle so that you're forced to have two people working so that now you're forced to put a kid in daycare? Or do you want to give some of that up to be able to stay at home and raise your child in the most precious moments of its life?
Great. I'll tell you my example, right? My wife's staying home. Our original plan was, hey, let's stay home for the first 6 months and see how it goes. As soon as we had the baby, she's like, I don't want to go back.
It's like, I'm never going back.
My wife in general does. If we could, she would just be a stay-home 1950s domestic wife. She would cook, clean, wash the baby, do what she would. Obviously, that's not.
And you would do this. You're like, I wanted to.
Oh yeah, I'm like, hell yeah, brother, let's do it. However,
so you hear that, people? Come on, you got to like, subscribe, comment. Come on, we got to grow this podcast, right?
Let's keep growing.
We got to keep Marissa home.
Yeah, that's for damn. Help me keep my wife home. So, but we said,
Help me.
So we said, hey, we have a plan for 6 months. Taking off, so she was supposed to go back February 1st, say, right? Now we're like, well, if you take off for the rest of the year, you're not going back till basically next year, next September. So I'm like, we didn't really plan for that or talk about that much because we just said, let's do 6 months. But to me and her, we're like, listen, if we have to pull money out of certain savings or other elsewhere to make this possible, I think it's worth it because, again, I don't want a 6-month-old baby, my baby, with somebody else. So if I have to take money out of places where I don't need to or shouldn't to right now in my day and age, I think it's personally worth it to keep my wife home and my baby home together. You know what I mean?
No, I
was very strong. I'm like, listen, I don't care. Money's money. It's meant to be spent. You can make it more. If I'm able to do it this way, and keep my wife home for fucking 15 months? And who knows by next year? Maybe we're fucking making a lot of money with the cigars. Maybe the cigars are taking off, right? So, and that's my personal opinion. Me and her are like, this is worth it to us. Let's do it this way, and we'll just figure it out. It'll be tight. Things will be tight, but guess what? The baby's home every single day. You're home every single day. Justin's texting.
No, I'm listening. I'm looking on ChatGPT because I want to find out the difference between, because one of the other things we're going to talk about is, okay, if the wife goes to work, right, now she makes extra income, but you have to pay for the childcare, right? If the wife stays at home, now when you file jointly, right, because now you're claiming your wife as a dependent because now it's one income, but there's two people, it's like a write-off, right? Your standard deductible goes up.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it's in one case you're filing jointly with two incomes, so you get that deduction. But in the other case, you're filing jointly with one income, so it's still the same deduction, but it's off of one income, so you get a bigger. So now I want to know what's the difference between.
So basically, what I was finishing up and saying was, it's worth it to us to take out money in places where we have it, where we weren't really ready to do that yet. But we're okay. I'm okay. She's okay with that decision, and I think that's the right decision. I don't think you can't really change family. You really can't change. There's no.
It doesn't say. It just gives me all the details. But like that's one thing is, and I think it comes down to if you can afford to live off of one income and keep one parent home, I think that's the best thing for the child. I think it's the best thing for your family. And it also talks about keeping the family unit intact. I know we talked about that on your drive over here. There's a lot of things nowadays that are breaking apart that family unit. What do they call it? Is it a nuclear family?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Is that okay?
I think it's called a nuclear family.
What is a nuclear family?
So I mean, again, going back to the whole premise of how we got
consists of two parents and their children living together in a single household.
Yeah.
This family is distinct from extended families. Okay, so I think there's things in today's society that are like breaking apart that nuclear family, and you want to keep the family unit intact. So if you can keep the children at home, learn from the parents, then you instill your values. Because think about it. Look at this. This is 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. That is 9 to 5 is 8 hours. Plus 2 more is 10. That's 10 and a half hours.
I know, bro.
That's the entire day, 5 days a week that this child is spending with somebody else in from the moment they're 2 years old to school age, from 2 to 10 or 2 to 8 or whatever it is.
Even before 2 years old.
2 to 5. It's crazy.
So
the moment when your child's walking and he's learning to speak and he's developing his language, he's spending it with somebody else.
That's how I got to this conversation, because this is all the stuff that I was going through, understanding. I was like, fuck, Marissa, if you go back to work, we're really just paying for someone else to watch our kid. And from even before we had a baby, she's like, no. So I already knew where we're at. So that's this whole that's how I got this whole idea, because I'm like, listen, using money that wasn't used for this, it's okay in my eyes, because my wife stays home and she raises our kid with the way we want her to be raised. And my wife's in a school. She's a speech pathologist. She does so much already within the first 3 months. I feel like my baby's already a year old. She does so much shit. I'm like, and everyone talks about how good their baby is, but I'm like, damn. I'm like, thank God you're here, because like, this is amazing to see.
I know, and that goes back to what I was saying before. Is when I preach about the stay-at-home moms, that's the hardest job on the planet. And if they make it look so effortlessly, and the jobs that the job that they do, and how efficient they do it, and the things that they do at home, and you've seen it already. Like, she's amazing. It's amazing what they do. Absolutely, and you're like, if like, I will do everything in my power to make sure that you can do that, that we can afford to do that.
That's how I said.
You know what I'm saying?
I said, I don't care what it costs. I will do everything in my power to keep this going.
Yeah, because it's a blessing, and if you can afford to do that, your job as the man, make that happen. Because there's nothing like you cannot replicate that.
I guess there is a value,
but you can't get the same with daycare, right?
Yeah.
The mother raising the child, you cannot replicate that in daycare. As much as they say you
with
can,
a nanny or a babysitter,
you can't. It's not the same. It's not the same as a mother, as the parents doing it. Yeah. And if you can afford to keep one parent home, I think it's the best for the child. Especially in today's day and age.
It really seemed like a no-brainer to me, because I'm like,
when you're going to daycare and some kid's dressing up as a cat, says I identify as a cat, so I got to put a litter box in the fucking daycare because
don't even do that. Don't even go there, bro. I'm not even getting.
They start calling the kid Rory because he thinks he's a lion.
Stop it.
All right,
stop. Justin, just stop it now.
I don't want to hear about lions. All right, you know what? You think you're a lion? Guess what? You know what they do with lions?
They put them in the zoo.
Okay, put them in a zoo, or guess what? You don't belong in a classroom because you're a lion, right? You think you're a lion, so you don't belong in a classroom. You belong in the middle of freaking jungle. Okay,
you don't have a human functioning brain.
You belong out in the plains with the other lions because you're a lion, right? So let me go put you with the other lions and see how you survive.
Oh,
because you're a lion now, right?
So
unbelievable. Or you're a cat, right? You identify, okay, guess what you're going to get for lunch? You can get the wet cat food, right? Because you identify as a cat. So you don't eat human food. You eat cat food.
That's
stupid.
Gross,
my kid came down the stairs, dressed as a cat, and says, I said, is it Halloween? It's not Halloween? Get back upstairs and put on some regular clothes, okay?
So the whole premise of this podcast was basically, this is me pleading, saying, get us, no, I'm just kidding. Buy our cigars and subscribe to our YouTube so we could pay for our wives to stay home.
We're gonna have to edit that out before we get demonetized.
No, just it's a joke. It's a joke.
Blank our blanks.
Yeah,
okay,
it's our joke. Oh yeah.
We can say buy the blueprints and buy the diligence.
Buy the blueprints and diligence. Yes.
Right?
Buy the blueprints and diligence.
That's how we should do it.
That's the way around it.
Right? Buy blueprints, buy diligence.
Buy blueprints, buy
But
diligence.
I think yes, I agree with. I'm a big advocate of stay-at-home parents.
You agree with that logical that logical?
I'm also an advocate of homeschooling, but I don't even want to get into that whole debacle.
Yeah, I wouldn't have anything. I would have nothing to say. I don't know.
I mean, around 35 minutes, probably another guest, but that's a topic for another.
We are getting a guest soon in the podcast.
Topic for another day. But I am an advocate of. I've seen the results of homeschooling, and it's quite impressive. And I've done some research on, especially like at a younger age. Now, granted, am I going to be able to teach my kid calculus? Okay, not likely. Right? I mean, I know calculus. I've taken calculus, and if I brush up on it,
I think
I can help. But like,
could I teach my kid calculus? That question is no.
But could I teach my kid math? And could I teach my kid biology? And could I teach like all the things that you might learn as a younger kid? Like can you teach your kid what's right and what's wrong? Can you teach your kid shapes? And
good point. This is a good point.
That you can. I've read into it. Let me just finish my train of thought. I've looked into it, and they've done studies of homeschoolers that are advocates for homeschoolers have said that what they teach children from pre-K to fourth grade, right, until you go into middle school, they put your kid in school for 8 hours a day. Okay, now in pre-K and kindergarten, I think it's half days. It might be 4 hours a day, but figure they put you in school for 8 hours, 6 hours. Let's call it 6 hours a day. You can teach what they say that they need 6 hours for. You can do it in 2. And I've seen homeschoolers, they show the curriculum, and they said, this is what they're teaching kids, and they need 6 hours to do it. That's what they say. They need 6 hours, but we can teach it in 2 at home. 2 hours of focused education. And it's not teaching kids, world history. Okay, you're not teaching kids calculus. You're not teaching kids some of the later education stuff. You're teaching kids the basics. The basics. You can teach kids shapes. You can teach kids basic math. You can teach kids right from wrong. You can teach kids how to read and you can teach kids these things in much less time than what they say you can in school.
Yeah. Well, because it's more of a one-on-one. It's you and your kid or you and your kids, and it's just mano-y-mano, and there's no recess, there's no lunch, if it's just 2 hours of just straight dedication, it makes sense to me.
And people always say, like, what? They don't take that. No, there's a curriculum. Like, you're the teacher. So you have a curriculum, and you teach them, and they take the test, and they get through the grades, and then when they get into middle school, you can put them in middle school or high school, whatever. But I've seen some of the kids, and I'm like, this is incredible. Kids that are like 6, 7, 8 years old. We had one at our wedding. They came up. She was an 8-year-old girl, and she came up, and she gave me a curtsy. She's like, very nice to meet you, Mr. Heisig. My name is so-and-so. Thank you so much for having us at your wedding. And she's 8 years old. Like, how old are you? Like 16. She's like, I'm 8.
That's that down south living. That's different.
Unbelievable. Blew my head back. And I'm like, what? They go, we homeschool our kids. Said, I'm going to homeschool my kids.
It's wild. The other aspect that made me think of, because I hear some people say, I had to go back to work after 6 months, but it was good for my child to go at 6 months because it was good for them to develop the social aspect of it.
That's the first argument they give.
And you know what? Socializing your kid is very important, right? Your kid does have to be social. You can't keep them locked away forever, and it helps them definitely develop. But at 6 months, 1 year, maybe even around 2 years, maybe. I'm no child doctor, but I feel like that between 1 and 2 is more necessary for them to be quotes getting more socialized, but working with other babies, other people. You don't need it at 6 months, bro.
I also think there's 2 things that I have to say to that. One, whether or not somebody is social is more a personality trait. Like you have extroverts and introverts.
Yeah.
You can have, like, how many people have gone to school their entire lives and they're not social people, right? Sure. They have gone to public. Like, how many people do you know that were in your school, that have gone through the school system, have been in front of people their whole lives, but they're not social? What do you say for those people?
Yeah.
Right? But that's what I'm saying. So it's more of like a personality. Some people are just not very social butterflies. They're not that type of people, right?
But I think
the second
isn't
thing,
there a way but if you're not exposed to being social, then you don't have that decision.
Well,
right?
here's my counter to that is, you ever heard of extracurricular activities? You ever heard of birthday parties and play dates? And
that's to me socializing. Yeah.
That's socializing. So just because my kid doesn't sit in the classroom with your kid doesn't mean they don't hang out after school.
With their
doesn't
cousins
mean
or friends.
Doesn't mean we're not
babies.
playing like baseball or hockey or basketball or football. Like, they're not doing these extracurriculars. Doesn't mean that we're not going to camps in the summer. Doesn't mean that they're not hanging out with each other after school. How many I knew kids that went to private school in high school. I would go to one school, they would go to a different school, and at the end of the day, we'd come home from school and you'd hang out. We just weren't in the same building all day long.
I agree. I don't think being socializing just means going to school.
No, but that's like the argument that people say. They go, "Oh, well, you should be."
It's good for them to socialize.
How's your kid going to socialize?
But
the same way he socialized with everybody else.
But if you have brothers, cousins, aunts, uncles who also have babies that you probably hang out and see, and they can socialize with them, or you have friends that have babies and they can socialize, or you can do things with them, like you said, extracurricular activities that get them to fucking start forming that those synapses in the brain.
Anyway.
Let's shoot some additional content while we wait for our guest here. That's gonna do it for this episode. I thought it was a nice conversation.
It was good. A
little back and forth. I'm Eric. That's Justin. He's the Dapper Cigar. I am the Brother Cigar. We are the Burn Down Podcast. We are the owners of the company BDP Sticks that have blueprint and diligence.
Come on, you know the Burn Down Podcast. All right, we got a show. We got Instagram. We do events. We got we got the blueprints. We got the diligence. You know what it is. Also, check us out on X. Okay, we're on X. I've been posting a lot on X. I'm the Dapper Cigar on X. We're the Burn Down Podcast.
Check out Justin's golf videos too.
We have golf videos. I know for the people that love golf, we're doing golf videos. Okay, I'm not very good, but I'm not as good as some of the golf people that you see.
He's a lot better than most people.
But I try. Okay, I try to make bars and smoke
If we
cigars.
both, I would love to do the golf videos with you, but then we could see a clear delineation who's better and who's not. So
I have good days and I have bad days.
Yeah, like everybody.
I can go out and shoot a 77, and I can go out and shoot a
Granted,
92.
you are recording like 18 different times, so you can just pick the better holes that you play better on.
Oh yeah.
That's
how you do it.
You have 18 pieces of content and 18 times to look good.
I got 18 pieces of content, and sometimes I have some videos I'll post. I've been posting all the par ones because it's like make par, smoke cigars.
Yeah.
So it's like I'll go out and play, and I'm like, all right, I got to earn that stick. I got to make par so I can smoke a cigar. Okay. If I don't make par, I'll be like bogey on the first, bogey on the second, bogey on the third. I'm like, dang, come on, I need a bar. I got to smoke one. But I have some videos that I'll post where there's bogeys and there's some shit holes or whatever. But it is what it is.
Yeah. See, if I were to start doing it, I think I would start posting more like the funny shit, like me fucking shanking the shot or like.
I got a video I'll show you. It's great. It's I forgot what hole it was, but I had a putt, and then I missed the putt, and it was like a short one, and it was a gimme. It was clearly a gimme, right? It was like 3 inches, 4 inches, and I went up and I just went to tap it, and I missed it. And I went to tap it again. I missed it again. I missed it like 3 times because I was just like tapping.
With one hand.
But I mean, my partner was like, "Yeah, that's good. That's a gimme." But I was just like just missing it, and I put some sound effects in. It was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, you guys gotta post that.
It was pretty funny.
But thank you guys for watching and listening. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that bell so you get notified every time we drop a new video. And subscribe to our website, burndownpodcast.com. Become a member. Exclusive giveaways and discounts and all that jazz. We appreciate you guys. You gotta keep us afloat here so we can take care of our babies. That's all we ask for. Take care of the burned down babies. I'm Eric. That's Justin. We'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers. Chin chin.